Hey, and welcome back to the Right Hand Drive Guys podcast, the podcast for guys who like right hand drives. As usual, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
Yo.
And we are back once again. And we are here. It's episode 82. Dang. Like, we're almost to 100. When we hit triple digits, everybody's in trouble.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah. And so today we wanted to have another guest on the podcast. We're really liking the guest thing. And we got a guy that actually hit us up named Mark Bahna. And, well, let's just let Mark tell his story.
Yeah. Dude,
All
let's
right.
get it.
Here's Mark. All right. And we're back with Mark Bahna. What's up, Mark?
What's up, guys?
Man, I know you're on the East Coast, too, so it's a little bit after 8 down there in New Jersey, huh?
Oh, yeah. It's getting dark over here.
Yeah, same here, man. And so, being on the East Coast, you definitely have been on my radar for quite a while. I mean, we don't have a lot of guys with, some of the cars that you have on the East Coast. So you're kind of like a shining star over here, man.
Oh, hell yeah. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, I know, like, a little bit about you. Like I said, I've definitely been keeping an eye on you. But for the listeners, let them know, like, where you're from, what got you into the JDM cars, what you do for a living, whatever. Just give us the 411.
So my name's Mark. I started this business called JDM HQ, and I import Skylines and other crazy cars for people. I also, got a pretty crazy collection of cars throughout the years. What really started me into this whole Skyline realm was back in the day, like Motor-X days. So I was pretty involved in that whole Motor-X thing, and that was like one of my first cars was a Motor-X R33. And that, really started me into getting more Skylines, figuring out how you could get these cars in the country. I made a bunch of good connections, especially with like Daryl Allison, which was a good friend of Paul Walker. I actually saw Paul Walker's car when he was alive here in Jersey, and then it ended up going to California.
Wow. That's pretty wild. So you've been in the game for quite a long time.
Oh yeah, I would say now it's like 17 years.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, obviously as the R34 has started to become legal here, there's a lot of newbies, you could say, to, this whole culture. But 17 years deep, I mean, you've been kind of in it since it really popped off.
Yeah, getting these cars into the country back in the day was definitely difficult. There were, some companies I did work with called JK Technologies, which that was a company that Motor-X was also getting help by. And, we collaborated on a couple cars and got a couple cars legalized. And, I bought a bunch of R32s back in the day and just kind of moved up,
And so what would you say got you into the JDM cars, like, maybe even as a kid? Like, what really sparked that for you?
So it's actually a crazy story. So I used to go to this arcade in New York, and they had the Initial D arcade machine, and I used to play it all the time. And my car that I would get was an R34 Skyline, and I used to race around. And I actually told myself, I was like, one day I want to have the largest collection of Skylines, and that like kind of sticked in my head. And then I got a 33, and then I was like, you know what, I'm going to start buying and selling them. And I got my dealer's license in New Jersey, so I could do everything legally.
Hell yeah.
And, I bought and sold probably, I would say now, like 70 Skylines.
Wow, that's quite a lot because now you have again some new guys to the game who maybe have flipped 6 or 7 Skylines and they're thinking like they've really done some work, and then to hear numbers like 70 come through, that's just that's a lot of keys you've touched, just keys alone.
Just Skylines.
Yeah, well, I mean, granted, a lot of them were 32s back in the day because, those were, kind of the affordable ones, and of course some 33s and some 34s. But I would say like 40% were 32 GTRs, and then the rest were between 34s and 33s.
Hey, man, Skyline's a Skyline. You feel me?
Yeah.
So I know, speaking of these cars, I know Aaron had a question.
Yeah, man. Just like scrolling on your Instagram, it's insane some of the cars you have. Some of the R34s, like, it's just kind of mind-boggling. That's even stateside. What are a few of your favorite cars that you've owned in the past and current?
So I've been really getting into a lot of the collector cars now. So I've been selling off a lot of my normal Skylines and getting into, cars like this, like the R1 behind me, and, a couple S-Tunes and some Amari build cars and things like that. I've been getting into it more of like the Mspec nerds and more of like the higher, caliber, Skylines.
Nice.
And so which one, though, if you got to pick one, right? Like,
I had to pick one. I'd probably say the one that I got from Daryl Allison, which I call the Paul Walker car. And that, it's just the car just has so much story and so much history with Paul Walker, and he used to drive it all the time. And Daryl told me a couple cool stories. Paul Walker was driving one of my cars, and the red car, and the fuel pump relay went, and he ended up having to push it like 2 miles to the shop. And him and Paul Walker actually pushed this, a red Skyline, 2 miles, which is a cool story. And then, the white car that Paul Walker actually owned, his engine actually blew up on the track. So he would actually drive my car, the red car, to the track for at least a year and a half. He said he let Paul Walker use it. So that would probably be my favorite car, just because the history and, even when I got the car, it was so secretive that it even came, to the East Coast. I kept that car pretty secret.
wow, yeah, that's pretty epic, and you could kind of picture, Paul Walker being the actual car guy that he is, would have had no problem pushing that car 2 miles because of the situation, right? Like he was a legit car dude.
Yeah, I talked to him once on the phone with Daryl, and it was pretty cool. He was kind of intrigued that I had at the time I had maybe like 7 Skylines, and he was like, "Oh, that's crazy! You have these on the East Coast, because it really was like a West Coast thing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's for sure, and maybe you don't realize it, but realistically, you were part of what helped it become more popular on the East Coast just by having them and people seeing them, and then, of course, the experiences that you had with them as well.
Yeah, hell yeah. I got a lot of my friends into Skylines too. I told all my friends, I said, listen, these cars are going to go up. You buy a 32 for 20, I think I sold my friend 2 GTR 32s for 35 grand for both, back in the day, So and he's thanking me now. And there's a couple other guys that I sold cars to that are just like, man, you really called it. You knew like this market was going to go up on these. So
yeah, that foresight was really important because a lot of guys would just buy one and sit on it, right? Like that was just their car. They bought one. You had the foresight to pick them up, sit on some of them, flip some of them. And now, like you said, now you're up on like the highest caliber of these cars, which is anyone's dream that starts like you did, just kind of flipping some 32. So hella props to you, dude, for making that all come through. That's definitely legit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And so something I just wanted to, you mentioned the red Skyline. I just want to ask, it had to be like insanely full circle to watch Cody sign that car. Like you must have had just so much adrenaline pumping. Like I can't imagine what that would have been like.
Oh, it was awesome. So it was actually a funny story. So Fuel Fest reached out to me and they were like, listen, you have a bunch of Skylines. Could you bring some out? And I said, yeah, I'll bring some out. If you could tell, Cody that I, have, the red Skyline that his brother used to drive back in the day. So he goes, yeah, no problem. So anyways, I get to Fuel Fest and Cody actually comes up to me and goes, you have that red GTR? I go, yeah. He goes, I actually remember, my brother with that car driving with Daryl in that car. So he actually remembered that car, driven on the West Coast. And he was like, I can't believe you have it, And I was like, well, I love if you could sign it for him,
Yeah. And he was happy to do it.
Oh yeah, he was definitely happy to do it. He's a really cool guy. He's, really, you could tell he's like a real genuine guy, kind of like Paul.
Yeah, that's cool. I would say their parents did a damn good job. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, he does a lot of good stuff, and he's keeping his brother's legacy alive, which is cool.
Yeah, to dedicate your life to your brother's legacy is like kind of a big deal, right? So I'm sure he's loving every minute of it, though.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
So, a month or two ago, we did a podcast and we were kind of doing current events, and you were one of our current events, and the Mspec on tracks, man. I mean, I think that was the quote unquote stunt, seen around the world. I mean, I saw Japanese pages reposting it. It was everywhere. But I know what the listeners want to know, and they want to know how did it really go. How putting an Mspec on tracks.
All right, so the way this all happened was a friend of mine one night came over to my house and was like, hey, you should turn one of your Skylines into a tank. And I'm like, turn it into a tank. And I'm like, oh my God, I think you just gave me an idea. And then I thought of, who has these tank tracks and all this. So a friend of mine, Blackout Motorsports, did it on a GTT. And I was like, oh, I want to do it on a GTR, like all-wheel drive. It'd probably work out like super good with the tracks. So I reached out to them, and then we planned it out when we were in AC for Canjo night for the Timeless meet. And we ended up just, putting it on and like winging it. And like, we're like, fuck it. If it works, it works. And I was like, whatever, like it's worth, no one will ever do this. So
ever.
I was like, might as well,
Is that what's on your shirt, actually?
What?
Is that what's on your shirt?
Oh, yeah, this is
hell
my
yeah.
shirt.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Go ahead.
I mean, it was pretty cool. I mean, what I would do differently, like, it was drivable, but I mean, I didn't want to go really over like 15 miles an hour with those things, because the way I had to make them work was we took a bunch of wheel spacers and attached like 7 or 8 different wheel spacers. And we literally did some Whistle and Diesel shit. And I mean, I didn't trust it completely, but I was like, whatever, if it works, it works. And it ended up working. But this time we're doing it again, actually, for Canjo night this year. And we're trying to make one solid hub, basically, that's more extended, so I can make more of a turn. And then, I'd feel safer at least, doing like 40 or 50 on it,
That will be wild if you
Yeah.
do 40 or 50 with those on it, man.
Dude, that's so insane.
Oh hell yeah! Yeah, it was pretty cool with it on it. I mean, it did not get stuck at all in the sand. I mean, I was going up like dunes, like you can't really see it in the video, but there were like some pretty steep hills on the beach, and it just mowed it like did not have any, like literally no effort. It was amazing.
I bet you got the craziest looks on the beach
Yeah.
driving that thing.
Oh, dude, literally 10 minutes of being on the beach, there was huge crowds. All the neighbors were outside their like houses videotaping. And then like, I was like, yo, it's time to go. And like, literally we left at the perfect timing, because as we like left and we were back on the street, like the cars lifted, jacked in the air, and we were like taking the tracks off. A cop legit comes and is like, "Were you guys on the beach?" And that's where we made that like crazy viral video. And, you know, and that's how that happened.
So, was he pretty cool about it though? Like overall?
Yeah. So he was just saying that we need a permit next time. But at that day that we did it, the place to get the permit, like the town hall, was closed, so we couldn't get a permit. And we were like, you know what? I was like, fuck it. You know, if they give me a ticket, It'll be what, $300, whatever, and you know, be worth it for the video. You know, so at the time I just did not care.
Did you get any pushback about putting such, like you would say, a high caliber car on the tracks?
I mean, yeah, you're gonna get like the haters that are like, "Oh, you ruined the car." Like, it didn't ruin the car. If one of the tracks fell off the car and took off the fender or something, you know, that's a different story. But I mean, it doesn't ruin the car. And plus, you know, as soon as I took the tracks off, you know, and I got the car back to my warehouse, you know, I like thoroughly cleaned like the whole car. Like, I got every piece of sand out of like underneath it.
Yeah.
You know, I washed it underneath. You know, I really, you know, did like a full blown detail after that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously, to have a collection like you do, you're clearly a smart guy, and there's no way you're going out there ripping on the beach and then just putting it away and saying screw it. Right. Like, that's not how this goes. Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, you really do have quite the impressive collection, but with, you know, this type of responsibility, sometimes there are a few hiccups, and I know we had heard of one recently, and Aaron wanted to kind of ask about it.
Yeah, dude, the 270R, like another viral event for you. Like, what happened?
It's like never ending. One after the other. I mean, it's just crazy. That was really, I was caught by surprise with that one, with the 270. At the time I parked the car there because I was working on another car in my garage, and I didn't expect, you know, the chief of the fire department to throw rocks and gravel and like all types of shit on top of my car. It was just wild. I remember when I went outside and I realized like there was like all this shit all over my car, and I was like, what the hell happened? And as soon as I reviewed my camera and I saw that was the chief, I was like, this is ridiculous. So I actually called his like the point of contact at the firehouse, and I said, listen, your chief just destroyed, you know, my 270R. What are we going to do about this? Because you're going to need this car is going to be in need of full restoration now. And he was like, oh, that's your problem. So I was like, you know what? And I was like, okay, you want to go that way? And I try to like settle it like, you know, man to man kind of thing. And then, I was left, you know, to call the cops and report him, and they ended up arresting him, and the state actually charged him with criminal mischief because it was over, $10,000 worth of damage. So, I mean, it was pretty crazy. It was very unexpected.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, whether it's a 270R or a base Skyline, like we love these cars, right? And no matter who you are, you're putting in so much love to it. I'm sure that 270R was mint. Didn't need anything, right? And then just one.
Anything. I mean, it had original paint on it. I mean, it was just. I mean, it's just. It was kind of fucked up that like, so he came and did that, for really no reason at all. Like it made no sense.
Right. I mean, you seem like an obvious respectable guy, so I'm sure it's not like you're causing trouble out there for him. Like, sure, maybe the cars are loud, but
nice. And I was always nice to the guy. I mean, they do a flea market on Sunday here, and I mean, every time I saw him, I go up to him and shake his hand. And I'd be like, "Oh, how's everything? How's everything been? Blah blah blah." Like, short, basic talk, and I always kept it friendly with him. So like when I saw him on camera, doing that to my car, I was just like taken back. I was like, "Wow, you think like someone and you don't."
Yeah, that is true. People can definitely kind of change their demeanor pretty quickly. But so, has the car been fixed?
So right now, it's not getting fixed because I have to get some parts, and I mean he broke the bumper. I think he's like kicked the front bumper, so it cracked the bumper. So I need to get a front bumper, and I mean I have to. The shop that I usually have, paint my cars or do repairs, they're a little backed up right now, so I can't bring the car there for, at least another week or two. So,
damn.
This guy at least apologize?
No apology, nothing. Like, I mean, I've seen him like, I mean, he's still friends with some of the guys next door at the firehouse, and I seen him like in front and. He's seen me, I just, don't want to say nothing because I don't want to affect, the case or anything that with my lawyers and stuff. So
yeah, that's probably very smart because the number one priority is getting the car restored, right? Not just feeling a little bit better about talking shit to this guy, right? Like you got to get the car fixed. But yeah, we were definitely, man, when we saw it was a 270R, it was just like the heart sunk, like, no, like anything but the 270.
And I don't think he knew what it even was. I mean, he probably doesn't know cars, so he probably didn't know what he destroyed.
In a way.
Huge mistake.
I mean, the internet really, after I posted it, I mean, it just went like crazy viral. Then news companies are hitting me up, like wanting to do interviews. And next thing you know, it got like bigger than ever. I mean, that guy's life is ruined,
Yeah.
I mean, he did it to himself,
Yeah, over nothing, literally. So I got a good question for you. If we ask this question to a lot of guys, they would say probably one of the cars in your garage. But you're not allowed to say that, right? So if you're able to get one car in the world, any car period, doesn't matter, like what is Mark getting? What is that one ultimate car?
I mean, it would have to probably be, I would say, Koenigsegg.
Oh wow, yeah, like that is very at the
like
top.
Like a Jesko, a Koenigsegg Jesko, to be exact.
Wow, yeah, and so I mean, I don't know a ton about those cars, but I would assume those production numbers are slim to none, like very small.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, I think they're making like 30 of them. Actually, a friend of mine that I know is actually getting one, which is crazy. So I'll actually get to see one in person.
Wow, that's cool. I mean, yeah, those aren't something you see. I mean, we're up here in Maine, so you're definitely not seeing nothing like that up here. We got, yeah, we got Buicks and lobster boats up here. You know what I'm saying? So, Kona
Oh
Zoo.
yeah, I'm cool with the lobster. I love lobster.
Oh hell yeah, we'll send you down sometime, man. You can have a little lobster dinner on us. Hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, if you, so we got some younger listeners, and we, a guy like you who has a garage, they're sitting here looking at it, they're drooling. They understand that these type of things don't come easy, right? But we like to try to give them a little insight. And so, what would you tell, a 17, 18-year-old, whatever, that says they want an M spec? That's their number one car. They want to know how to get there. What would you tell them on how to get there?
I mean, it's very easy to make money in this world. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to make money. You could do drop shipping. I mean, you could flip cars. You could come up with an invention. You could, come up with a product. You just really gotta find what you're really passionate about, and or a good idea and you just gotta run with it. You can't, quit. I mean, there was definitely tough times with me, with some things that I wanted to develop that ended up not working, and you just have to keep trying, and just keep working on it, and just staying positive, and just keep it, just if that one idea doesn't work, try another idea, and just give it your all. And that's all it takes. I mean, it's very easy to make money in this world. It's just you have to motivate yourself to do it and want it.
Yeah, I think that's some great advice, because I feel like, especially when you're younger, somebody could look at you and say, oh, wow, must be nice. They're not seeing those failures, right? And because a lot of times the failures aren't necessarily publicized, right? You're working through them as they're happening. And so I think that's really good advice, is that there are going to be failures, right? You're not going to get it your first try. If you do, you probably shouldn't have, because you needed to learn anyways. You know what I mean? So I really dig that advice, because I feel like younger kids sometimes are really quick to just kind of jump off the bandwagon when things go south, instead of really ride it out and then come out on the other side stronger in that sense.
Yep, exactly.
So, all right, I know Aaron had one last question for you.
Yeah. So what's your biggest inspiration, in this whole JDM world, or, your world period? What is your biggest motivation? What keeps you going? What makes you run?
I mean, the biggest motivation for me is really trying to achieve my goal, really. I told myself when I was young, I was like, I want to retire when I'm 40. So I'm getting close to that number. And that's been my goal since I was a kid. I was like, I want to retire when I'm 40, have my cars, and, just enjoy life. And that would be like my biggest motivation, is just I kind of set goals when I was young, and I just been kind of checking them off. I got the whole Skyline collection, and I got my real estate investments, and now it's just pivoting to my end goal. So I kind of tell people, like, when you gotta come, like, if you really want to be successful, you have to come up with a goal, and just stick with that goal, and that, like, will just motivate you as you grow, or you make more money. It'll just motivate you to do better and achieve that end goal.
So you're, they would definitely classify you as a goal-driven person, right? Like you go to sleep thinking about that goal, you wake up thinking about that goal, and all the moves kind of add up, and in the end, you'll reach that goal.
Yeah, I mean, if you tell yourself like, listen, I want to make 100,000, 200,000 a year, and that's your goal for the year, if you stay motivated and, you do what you have to do, like, you'll get to that goal. It's basically, what's that word I'm looking for? Like manifesting. You basically manifest your goals, like what you want. If you want a 34, like you manifest that, get a picture or something that you're looking at every day of that 34 that you want. And that'll motivate you to, save, every time you make, whatever, $1,000, you're putting, 400 aside for, your car, and you just keep doing that. I mean, when I was young, I always did that. I kind of like, if I made money with selling, a motorcycle and I made $500, I'd put that away. And I just kept, I wouldn't even look at it. I wouldn't even count it. And I would just put it away in this box. And then next thing you know, I had like 70, 80,000 that I saved, and I didn't even know I saved that much. And then I'm like, I have the money now, I can invest this money into something, and then, you just keep flipping it. And you just keep going, just keep going up.
Yeah, I think a lot of people forget how powerful it is by just setting aside a little bit and not touching it. Like you said, that adds up, and all of a sudden you reached your goal and you didn't even maybe realize it. You know what I mean? Mark, we definitely appreciate you coming on, but one thing I want to make sure our listeners know is how they can find you. Like, give us the IG, let people know.
You can follow me on IG, R33 Skyline GTR. That's probably the best way. I'm not really too much on like Facebook or any of the other platforms, TikTok or any of that. Instagram's my main go-to.
You must have gotten that one pretty early. That's a good one, dude.
Yeah. That was my first car, so I was like, R33 Skyline GTR,
Hell yeah. And yeah, man, we will be coming down the coast at some point in July. We'll hit you up. Maybe we can connect for sure. But we definitely appreciate you being on.
Come drive a 34.
Hell yeah, man. We definitely take you up on that. But we hope you enjoy the night, Mark, and best of luck with everything, and hopefully we'll get back with you soon, man.
Oh yeah, thank you guys.
All right, see ya.
All right, see you.
Dude, Mark is a G.
Dude, seriously, I didn't realize he's been in the game that long.
Yeah, I mean, me neither, honestly. I mean, I don't know. I learned quite a bit there, and dude's super down to earth.
Yeah, 100%. I feel like I could talk to that dude all night.
I mean, like, I've been in the game for a long time, but in the sense of like meeting people, and this guy, you can tell he's about the cars. He's not about like, even though he's talking about, kind of moving himself up to like the upper echelon of these cars.
Yeah.
His attitude and his ego don't really portray that.
No,
he's still just the car dude.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And after we, we're done talking to him, he kind of showed us the garage a little more and stuff. And he's just down there doing, working on the cars himself. He's still connecting with the vehicles.
Check out my Stagia.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. With the 34 front end, I'm like, geez, dude, I'm trying to get one of those in here. But no, I think that was really cool to talk to the guy, and I'm hoping we can connect with him at an event or something, and really actually kind of chop it up in person for
absolutely.
sure. And again, hit him up on Instagram. Check out his Instagram. He couldn't even really scratch the surface of everything he's done. we just kind of hit some recent events. You can only imagine some of the things that, he's gone through and experienced
Some of
throughout
the cars
these,
that he's had.
Yeah, 17 years. Yeah. I feel like we probably could have gone for another half an hour, but we do try to keep these short for you so you can listen to them during your drive or workout, whatever it may be. So make sure you hit us up on the Instagram at RHDGUIS. And you can always check out our website for old episodes or merch at rhdguis.com. But for this episode, number 82, I'm Bobby. This is Aaron.
See ya.
Peace.